Hello, this is 1 Year On. I'm Alison. And following on from episode 32, today's episode continues with reviewing the Lumosity brain training app. The games are grouped into 6 categories: memory, attention, problem solving, flexibility, speed, language and maths. The designers promise new games are on the way, and there are some new games since I last logged in on the website. I normally play Lumosity on my phone app, so it's an interesting experience to see what it's like on the computer. I'm going to talk through the memory category today. I think it's better that I break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks, or else this episode will go on for an hour. And if you think my voice sounds a bit different, you're probably right. I've been a little bit unwell for about the last week, so I'm just recovering from my illness and my voice is a bit scratchy. So let's get started. The game called Memory Match. It's a form of memory game which involves tracking the location and position within an environment. For example, finding the fastest route across town without needing a navigation app. It's training your working memory by determining whether the symbols match or not. The question you're answering is, does the card on the right of 3 match the card that came 2 cards before? And the first and second card are hidden. This is a game that I find extremely difficult, which means that I should probably do more of it. I don't enjoy it, and I find it really frustrating, as thus far I've been unable to get over the fact that I'm unable to remember the cards that are hidden. The next game is called Memory Match Overdrive, which is roughly the same as the Memory Match game. It's a harder variant because it's using your working memory, and there are now 4 cards at play. I've realised I just can't do this kind of game, which shows that I need to work hard on this part of my working memory. The next game is called Memory Matrix. It's a really cool game and it tests your spatial recall. Remembering the pattern of tiles. Your brain is involved in tracking the accurate location and position of the coloured tiles. A real-world application the developers offer is being able to remember the fastest route about town. I'm really not seeing that linkage. The game is quite simple. The tiles show up in the screen and then they disappear, and you have to click on where the hidden tiles are. I'm able to only get 8 or 7 successfully. This is hard when they start adding more and more tiles in, and there are more spaces to choose from. The next game is called Memory Serves. I quite like this game. Again, using your working memory. You're a bellboy in a hotel going up in a lift. There are different coloured cases that are added into your lift, and then other levels where the cases go out to go to the guest. And you've got to remember what's in the lift and whether you should deliver it to somebody or not, because they ask for specific colours of cases. The trick is that the cases are invisible to you once they have gone into the lift, and it's very easy to get confused with cases going in and out of the lift as you go up the building. The next game is called Pinball Recall. This is another game which relies on working memory. This one is like a pinball machine. Static bumpers and the balls bounce around. But they show at first and then disappear, and you have to indicate which sector the ball will bounce into based on your memory of where the bumpers are before they disappeared. Sounds easy, it's quite hard. I really like this one. Tidal Treasures is based on short-term memory tasks. You've got to choose objects from a beach that you haven't clicked to choose before. The tide comes in and brings more and more items to be left on the beach, and then the tide goes out. It's surprisingly difficult based on the fact that some of the items are very similar to other items, so you've really got to be paying attention. I think my top score on that one is about 25 or 26. That really is quite a good game. It took me a really long time to work out what you were supposed to do though. Don't know why. Now, on the computer, there are a few more games that are not available on the app on my phone. So there's one called Cognition Kitchen, another called Familiar Faces, Follow That Frog, and What's My Name. They're new games and I've only just seen them. Cognition Kitchen is training your short-term memory. For example, memorising a recipe and preparing it without a cookbook, or remembering a phone number long enough to dial without writing it down. At the beginning of my post-stroke journey, this was impossible, so I was interested to see how I did on this new game. I looked at the computer website to find more information about the app and found all these new games, so this is really interesting. So you've got Chef Crouton keeping an eye on you, and it is an experimental game. In my first game, I was taking a knife and chopping up a piece of broccoli, then adding some oil to the broccoli and then frying it. There are quite nifty sound effects. It's a bit cute. And the chef is a purple genius who toddles in and out to see how you're going and makes ha-ha noise. I'm not a cook by any stretch, but I could enjoy this game. It's a pity they don't have it on my phone app version of Lumosity. Familiar Faces exercises your brain by being able to accurately remember customers' names and their orders. I'm not good with names at all, so this one has been a challenge, and I can see it will be very useful to me. The setting is a restaurant and you're a waiter, and you have to win over your customers and receive more tips. You have to drag the items to the person, and if you get lots of tips, you rise to the top waiter and advance to a more elegant restaurant where the tips are even bigger. It's a weird kind of chatbot type thing where you need to type in things. I don't think I did it very well. I'm going to have to try harder. The Follow That Frog game sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? Exercises your working memory and makes you remember things by remembering the orange frog's jumps and the route that he takes on the lily pad. So that's temporarily storing and manipulating information. A real-world application could be keeping track of your grocery list items while mentally while mentally calculating the total cost as you shop. That's what they suggest anyway. Does anyone do this? I suppose you might if you've got $50 and you know you can't spend any more, and you might want to choose a different brand of something if you want to get all items. Okay, so you've got a little orange frog. He's quite cute, jumping from lily pad to lily pad. When he's jumped a few, a green frog joins him, and you've got to click on the lily pad in the correct sequence as the orange frog. But the orange frog keeps jumping, so you've got to keep watching where he goes and make the green frog go in the same lily pads in the same order. The next level up to the orange frog is 2 lily pads in front. This game is really good, and I can see that it will get quite hard as you move through the levels. Memory is something that I have seen a lot of stroke survivors mention is challenging, so this is a good one, and it's sort of fun as well. The last game that I'm going to speak about in this episode is called What's My Name? It involves attention and remembering people's names and physical characteristics, which is brilliant for real life application. This game directly links to something I've always had trouble doing even before the stroke. I can remember what the person told me about themselves, the convoluted story, but their name? For some reason, I've always found that really, really hard. It's still really hard after the stroke, but it has gotten a little bit better, and it does get better for me as I get to know the person and the person well. This game is quite good. It does rely on the keyboard to type the name of the person. Each person introduces themselves and tells you a bit about them. I don't think I made any errors on the first game, and I can imagine as this game progresses it could get a lot more difficult. This is somewhat similar to a game I think I played on the Brain HQ suite of games. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe. I will be back next time to talk about the second category of games in Lumosity, which was speed. Thank you.